All right, y'all. All right, so French classicism. French classicism parallels that Catholic Baroque art that we just covered. French classicism, sometimes called French Baroque because it's the same era. But the reason Dr. Spavogo kind of doesn't call it Baroque is look what I define here. It opposed the emotions and exaggerations of Baroque. And if we wanted to bring a cool Disney example here, when Claude Worth is with the Beauty and the Beauty, I can't think of her name right off the top of my head, but the Beauty and the Beast, the Beauty, when he was showing her around the castle, and he said, "Hey, if it's not Baroque, don't fix it." Well, that actually is referencing this. The French hated Baroque; they thought it was gaudy, over dramatic, or too ornate, just completely chaos. French classicism of the 17th century was about this classical era. So, what is French classicism? First thing, it's the French art of the 17th century that downplayed the emotion of the Baroque. The two artists you need to identify are Nicolas Poussin and Claude Lorraine. I want to point out it focuses on landscapes, seascapes, and mythology. When I look at it, it's all about nature. The Christian works were less about the emotion and more about reason. And let's go and pause here real quick. Write that down. Something you guys are about to start reading is the scientific revolution. And the scientific revolution identifies the concept of a natural order, a world machine, if you will. And it's as if the universe is larger than man, but man fit perfectly in place. And I would argue the Poussin Lorraine utilized their art to demonstrate how humans naturally fit in this overall Newtonian world machine. And I'll promise you I'll show that a couple ways. Poussin's landscape with St. Matthew here and the angel. I love this piece because look how awesome this image is. It's a ginormous piece. It's several. That's like 20 feet by 10 feet, 20 feet by 15 feet, something like that. Ginormous piece. But what is the focus here? You might say, hey, Was, it's really about St. Matthew and the angel. But I would argue that's in the foreground. The foreground is usually not the focus. The real piece is look at holistically. Though it's telling a story of St. Matthew and the angel, it really is talking about how humans in religion fit in the order, the natural order. We ponder what's over there. We're pondering this nature. We're seeing ruins. And it's almost as if Matthew here fits perfectly in line with the overall. It's not that Matthew dominates. It's not even that angel here dominates. It's more about the story. But again, this is Poussin's landscape with St. Matthew and the angel. This is the piece I definitely need you to know, Poussin's landscape with the funeral of Phocion. Once again, what is this painting really about? Is it about the funeral? Or is it about how the humans naturally fit in this natural machine? Here you see they're carrying the dead body, but let your eyes wander through, right? This piece, another ginormous piece, is unrolling a story about how humans fit in the world machine. I also want to point out, I love this diagonal he uses because really you start here, you start probably here, and then you wander up this way to the end being the clouds. He wants you to think about how you individually. Funeral's important, maybe we can talk about that, but it's really more about how humans fit. I'm going to repeat this. It's really about how humans fit what we call the Newtonian world machine. Here's Claude Lorraine's The Embarkation of Queen Sheba. This is considered what we call a seascape. And again, look how awesome this ocean is. It's calm. It's hopeful. There's a religious story about the Queen of Sheba, so true, and yet this piece is less about that. She's about to embark, and yet we have people just kind of living their ordinary life. Once again, beckoning us to ponder, how does our ordinary daily life, the mundane, fit in this overall machine? But again, that's up for you guys to ponder. This is really and those really is the shortest moment for us. So I do hope that makes sense. French classicism, Lorraine, Poussin, it's about rejecting the emotions. It's about landscapes, seascapes, and mythology. It's about how the Christian works are more or less about reason, emotion and more about reason, less about emotion, more about reason. It tells a story of the scientific revolution, how the French are realizing that humans are one part of its greater universe machine, sometimes called the Newtonian world machine. And we see that. So I hope that makes sense to you guys.